All right, y'all, I'm so excited because today I get to sit down with one of my very good friends, fellow Ramsey personality, author of The Proximity Principle, Ken Coleman. Ken, thanks.
Christy, this is fun. I get to be in your living room. It's very exciting.
It's my actual living room,
yes.
everyone.
This is awesome. I love this.
So we sit by each other every day, even though we're rarely both in the office.
Right.
But we have the same role here at Ramsey Solutions, but we really have a different focus. So I would love it if we would just start by you introducing yourself to our audience. I know they've heard from you before, but just tell them a lot about your passion to help people find their calling and kind of even the backstory of the proximity principle.
Well, I am just absolutely dedicated to helping people realize that they have a unique role in this world. They were created for a role. And that means that you have to figure it out, and then you got to do it.
Right.
And it starts with saying, is this really true? Do I feel like that there is a unique contribution that I'm supposed to make in this world? And it's unequivocally yes.
Yeah.
Even if you don't believe it, and that's what I spend my time doing, is showing people how to discover that. And they look inward and say, hey, I was created to fill a unique role in my work. Now, I'm focusing on the work side of this. And that means I'm needed, I'm valuable, despite what anybody has said about me or done to me, I have value. But then there's this other side of this. That's just 2/3 of the equation. You must do it.
Right.
I don't think we have the option to go through this life, Christy, and not make the contribution that our Creator created us to do. Here's why. I think people are out there that need us to show up.
Yeah.
When Christy Wright is the best version of her, somebody out there bumps into that and needs that.
Yeah.
And I think that's whether you're a mechanic, an HVAC technician, a plumber, a welder, a professor, a teacher, a physicist, it doesn't matter. When you are doing what you were created to do, then you sense great purpose in your life because you go, wait a second, this isn't about a job.
Yeah.
This is about a contribution. And I think that when people discover their meaning and they see that they can put it into practice and make a contribution, I think that we have a real win in this world where people go, wait a second, I matter and I'm beginning to make the difference that I'm supposed to make.
Yeah.
And I think that is the whole goal for me, is to turn those light bulbs on for people and see that A, they can figure it out, B, they can get there, and C, they've got to do it.
Yeah. I love that you hit on this first part too, because I think just helping people understand that it's possible is half the battle, because so many people have this belief that it should be a job. If it's fun, it shouldn't. If you love it, it's probably you're doing something wrong. You know what I mean? And I think that there's an old school mentality to that. I remember when I worked at the newspaper in town right out of college, and it was just miserable. Like gray cinder block walls, gray cubicles, gray ceiling. I died a little inside every day. I was entering data into a spreadsheet, which is just not my skill.
For you, that is torture.
Nightmare.
Yeah.
So after a couple months of this, I had this aha moment. I was 22. I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. I didn't know what my calling was. I didn't know what I was supposed to do. I just knew I didn't want to do that. And I remember sitting across the office from my supervisor at the time when I put in my notice. And she looked at me and she said, Christy, I don't understand. A job is a job. Do you just not want to work? And you know me, Ken, like I love to work. I love to work. Yeah. But there was something, and she'd been there 40 years. There's an old school mentality of work is work, a job is a job. You go in, you clock in, you do the work, go home. It doesn't matter if you're happy. You're not supposed to be happy. It's a job. So help us understand this, what you're trying to teach people that they might misunderstand about a job, about work that matters, about a career, and how they can actually do something they love that they're good at and make a difference and make a career and an income out of it. So talk a little bit about just a mindset shift here, because I think that's the hardest part for so many people.
It is, and that story about that coworker of yours really beautifully illustrates this. There's two worldviews of work. One worldview, and it's pretty dominant. And by the way, this is from New Hampshire to Nigeria. This is not an American thing. The view of work for most people is that it is a utilitarian function. It's a big, long word, but what that means is that I work to live. In other words, my job is just this thing I do that I have to do because it produces money so that I can cover the four walls, right? And then if there's a little bit left over in the four walls at Ramsey Solutions, obviously that's your housing, that is your utilities, that's your food and your transportation. And then of course we got some clothes and we've got the kids' camps and there's all these things we go, we've got to pay for this. So work just becomes this thing that we do.
A means to an end.
And here's what happens. So then we accept meaningless work because we go, I got to work, which is true. But there's this worldview that just says that's all it is. And so what happens is we'll put up with the average job. We'll put up with a miserable job because we just see there's no other option to make money. Now let's flip it. So what I'm trying to do is disrupt this worldview. And through Ramsey Solutions, get out there and say, wait a second, what if you live to work? I'm going to let that sit for a second because I think a lot of people go, whoa, 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 I don't believe in that. Your worth is way more than your work. You're right.
Right.
I'm not preaching that you need to be a workaholic. That's not healthy. That's a recipe for disaster. But let's look at this. I live to work. Let me change the word from work for a moment to contribute. I touched on this in my first answer, but I live to contribute. Now, everybody on the planet, nobody goes through life and never wonders, why am I here? What should I do with my life? Nobody gets through life without that thought racing through their mind at some point.
Right.
So what does that tell us? Well, you and I agree on this, that we were created to contribute.
Right.
So we start there and you go, wait a second. Whether I believe there's a God or not, I do want to help people.
Right.
The most confused callers I get on the Ken Coleman show will say, at least when I ask them, well, you say you don't know what you want to do. Come on, I think you want to do something. What do you want to do? I don't know, Ken. I just want to help people. Ding, 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 ding. Who are the people you want to help?
Right.
What is the problem or challenge they have? Or what is the desire they have? Yeah. Let's just look at this for a moment. I could want to help people who are dealing with substance abuse. That's a challenge and a problem that person has. And I got some connection to them. But I could also want to design shoes for women to make them feel pretty.
And you love some shoes, Ken. Let's be honest.
I love some shoes.
True story, Ken has more shoes than I do.
That's a fact. It's probably true. And that's okay, dudes. You can embrace that. But you understand what I'm saying? It doesn't always have to be this big world.
It doesn't have to be a ministry job. It doesn't have to be in the church. Your work doesn't matter.
Hair. Why do you want to do hair? Every hairstylist that I've talked to who loves their work, it's not about the hair.
Yeah.
It's the creativity in the moment where they come in and the woman says, I want to do this differently, or I want this.
How the person feels when they walk out, like getting to create that transformation.
It's not just the creativity, but it's also, I'm kind of like their bartender. I'm kind of like their counselor. I think the world's greatest counselors are in beauty salons.
Hey, you're sitting there for 3 hours. You got a lot of time to talk.
So what I try to do is I help people understand, wait a second, let's just go back to forget what Ken says, what Christy says, forget what you believe about God. You just wrestle with this on your own.
Yeah.
Have you ever wondered, what should I do with my life?
Yeah.
And do you at your core long to help people? And the answer is yes. So living on purpose and working on purpose are inextricably combined. You can't pull them out. And so it's not about workaholism and success and flying on a private jet. I hate that stuff. It's motivational gibberish. It's a lie. Here's the issue. You could be a teacher and be an everyday millionaire. Chris Hogan proved it.
That's right.
The average salary, Christy, in America for a teacher right now, this is the average across the board, is $60,000. How is it that teachers, not every teacher, because I get a lot of those calls, but how is it that a teacher can be so fulfilled? Well, they are using their talent, what they do best, to perform their passion, to instruct, to guide, to produce results that matter deeply to them, their mission, which is to give a kid a lift, to train a kid, sometimes just to love on a kid. So all said, when we start to see work as, wow, this is about my contribution, this is about meaning, and I can make plenty of money when I am living and working in a job, a career that is terrifically meaningful to me.
Yeah.
See, when we get all that, we go, oh. And then I find that you make enough money. It's not about money.
Yeah.
So that's the deep-rooted thing that I'm trying to help people see. And when they begin to see that, they go, oh.
Okay, so we've talked about the external result of doing work that matters, being in your gifts and so on. So you've got the impact, the woman that walks out of the hair salon. You've got the money that you make that provides the means to an end, like we talked about. So your camps, your food, your shelter, so on. Talk a little bit about what it does for you personally when you are doing that work that matters. Because what we were talking about earlier today, and you've heard me talk about life balance all the time. I similar to you, I like to redefine this word for people and reframe it for people, where life balance isn't doing everything for an equal amount of time. It's about doing the right things at the right time. And when you do the right things at the right time, you feel balanced. And so as we've been unpacking, there are some sources of why we feel out of balance. We feel out of balance when we're doing too many things. We feel out of balance when we're not doing enough things. We feel out of balance when we're doing the wrong things, and we feel out of balance when we're not doing the right things. And I think what's so interesting is you could have someone that manages their time well, that has a lot of great things going on in their life, but they're in a job that they hate. And if you're in a job that you hate 40 plus hours a week, you're never gonna feel any sense of balance because you're doing the wrong things. It's gonna make you feel out of balance when you spend your life on the wrong things. So talk about, for someone that has never experienced a job they love, they might even have trouble believing that's possible. They're like, Ken, explain to me what it would feel like to not dread Mondays, to go to work and have fun.
Yeah.
Like, talk about the result, the personal results we feel.
Yeah, I'm not going to explain it. I'm going to prove it. And what's great is it's not even my opinion. So there's a guy by the name of Mihai Csikszentmihalyi. You'd never be able to spell it in a million years. But he's a psychologist, and for over 30 years, he has been teaching the theory of flow. He's got a TED Talk on it. So if you want to deep dive on this, just go to YouTube or TED Talks and look up flow. And so he describes flow as this feeling of euphoria. Okay. But what he's saying is you feel this euphoric feeling when you're doing something that you're really, really good at. He would say proficient. I just say you're good at it. It's talent. And that you actually love the work because you enjoy the task itself. Like you and I, we get excited about developing a talk or writing a book. So there's nobody paying attention in those moments.
Right. But it's just fun.
We love developing the talk and writing a book as much as we love selling the book or giving the talk. That's what I call high emotion, high devotion. And I learned that from his theory, which means this. I get excited when I think about the work. When I'm in the middle of the work, I feel that ecstasy is what he says. It's not people have perverted that word. This is just an emotion. Which emotions are given to us by our creator. You and I both believe that. So when I am doing something that I'm good at and I love the work, I'm already in a great emotional state. So the question was, how do we feel? What does it feel like? Well, you feel like you're in this state of flow, or again, you could say, I say it's like being in the sweet spot of life. And the sweet spot is the analogy I use because any of us who've ever played a sport, whether you've hit a baseball at a batting cage or gone to the golf club or, and hit a ball, the reason they call it the sweet spot is the designer of the club said this is the spot on the club that if you hit the ball there, you're going to get maximum performance, speed, distance, and oh, by the way, it'll feel good too. Anybody's ever hit the ball the right way? You don't even feel the contact.
I have not, by the way, but I hear. I hear.
But everybody understands that. So that's what it feels like. Number one, I enjoy it because again, I'm not frustrated. Let's all of us have kids. Think about how frustrated a kid is when you try to train them on something and they're no good at it. You know how frustrating it is for a kid trying to ride a bike the first time? There's all kinds of emotions there. They're frustrated, they're fearful. Well, who among us likes to do things that we're awful at? But here's where we're at in the Western world, Christy. We're fighting this overriding philosophy that says you got to work on your weaknesses. So if you spend all your time working on your weaknesses, you are in frustration. Well, if you're in a job that you're not really good at, you're not succeeding, you're not receiving the one thing that humans crave more than anything, and that is, am I seen, am I noticed, recognition. So there's so much here. But I mean, what you asked, what does it feel like? It feels amazing. You are looking forward to the work because you go, I'm going to be good at this. This is going to be easy for me. But more importantly, I really love the work. Why? Not just because you're good at it, not just because you love the task, but it also produces a result that matters. So you want to be on purpose. Here's how you're on purpose. When you use what you do best, your talent, to perform work you love, your passion, to produce results that make your heart swell, mission. You use what you do best to perform work you love, to produce results that matter. Okay, that's a really short sentence. But that's out there in the workplace,
that combination
Christy,
is powerful.
In multiple jobs, ready for this? Multiple career paths, and I would even tell you there's multiple dream jobs. You and I are both in our dream jobs right now. We're not going anywhere. But if we had to, there are other dream jobs for Christy Wright out there.
Okay,
as long as you are in that sweet spot.
Let's talk about this because I think that's interesting, and I have so many questions. I was just thinking of more and more questions.
Keep throwing them at me.
I want to come back.
Speed round. Here we go.
I want to come back to a couple things you said, but while we're here on this, the multiple jobs, because I want to go with this. I think when some people hear the word calling, they interpret that as there is one thing I was put on this earth to do. I was here to be a teacher at this school and so on. That is intimidating to people.
It is, and it's wrong.
So help us understand that. What do you mean by the multiple jobs that stay in your sweet spot?
Yeah, so let's stay in this teacher example because you gave me the example, and I get this call all the time on the Ken Coleman Show, and this is real. Ken, I'm so confused. I've been a teacher for 8 years. I loved it. It's all I ever wanted to do, but I am miserable, and I don't feel like I'm in my sweet spot anymore, but I don't know what to do. Help.
Yeah.
Well, what we do is we begin to examine in that phone call, Christy, why you've lost the juice for it, the passion. Why do you not love it anymore?
Yeah.
Well, what we find out almost every time is it's the environment. So you can be doing the right thing. Let's take teaching as a position and a title out of this answer.
Okay.
And now let's say, what at their heart are they really doing? And let's pick a word that would describe the role of a teacher. It is instructor. So you love instructing.
Right.
But you're in a public school environment, I'm not picking on public schools, but where there's a lot of bureaucracy, a lot of paperwork, you're unable to discipline the kids. Yeah. This is straight from about 100 calls, so I know this is right. And so you're going, I love instructing, but I don't like doing it here. So then I say to them, where are some other places that you can be an instructor? And we're pulling off the teacher title. We're pulling off elementary ed, middle school, whatever. And we begin to say, well, what about higher education? Yeah. For some, that shift is higher education. For some, it's I'm going to get into HR and do training in HR. Yeah, I'm going to be a corporate trainer, be a sales trainer. Because why? What do they love, Christy? It's instruction.
Yeah.
So are there other people besides little kids with snotty noses that you would love instructing? The answer is always yes. So we walk them through that construct. Okay, are you talented at instruction and communication and verbal skills and empathy and all the things?
Yeah.
And do you love listening, guiding, instructing, preparing, communicating? Yeah. Well, okay, besides elementary school kids, who are some other people that you could get excited about? And so you walk that formula out and they go, oh, so teaching was a dream job 6 years ago. It's no longer.
Yeah.
Now the dream job may be HR training or corporate training or consulting or whatever, as long as they are doing that primary thing that they love in their sweet spot. And so that's the answer to, yes, there are multiple dream jobs. Absolutely there are. Because here's the other thing, and I got to add this. So I wrote about this in a book that's coming out this fall. Mount Everest is the analogy. Climbing the mountain is what I use, in my show for people to grasp this climb to this meaningful work.
Yeah.
Well, when you get to the dream job, what's next? You're not done. You don't just get in a hammock with a glass of sun tea.
Right.
What's happening? So when you get to the top of the mountain, now you've been going like this the whole time. But when you get up here on top and you step in the dream job, remember, you've been looking this way, now you're looking this way.
Yeah.
And this is how everything shifts, Christy. So I go from looking up, now I'm here, I see the beautiful view and I go, I'm here, this is great. And now I'm looking out, and that's what happens. The dream expands.
That's good.
I'm still in my dream job, but I'm not done. I'm going to expand the dream. So I continue and I look for a new mountain to climb.
Yeah, a new challenge.
All within that sweet spot. So that's the answer to the question. That's why there are multiple dream jobs. And by the way, that'll free your soul.
Totally, because you realize you're not painted in a corner in this one thing that you're just destined to forever.
Yeah, we see this in relationships as well.
Right.
Is he the one? Is she the one? What if I marry her or marry him and there's somebody else? No. Come on now. It's the same decision-making process. Yeah. And so, you don't have to worry about making the wrong decision. That's why I teach the sweet spot. As long as you're in that sweet spot, use what you do well.
Yeah.
To do work you love, to produce results that matter. Well, there's all kinds of jobs, and you're going to feel so fulfilled. And by the way, as you grow and advance, you stay in that sweet spot. Think of it as like that bubble, and you just keep on running. You've seen that ridiculous halftime show where people are inside those giant clear bubbles? Well, they're running. Well, they can move forward.
I feel like my kids would love one of those things.
Yeah, I think that's the joy of working and living in your sweet spot. Which, one final thing, when you are fulfilled at work, you're going to be a better husband, a better wife, a better father, and a better mother. You can't remove these things.
Yeah. When you were talking about the idea of flow and this euphoric ecstasy, like the way that it feels when you're doing work that you love, when you're in your sweet spot, it was such a good, I had this like visual that came to mind. The way that I walk people through like identifying their strengths. So you and I've talked about this before, but one of the 5 E questions is, what do you enjoy? So that's what you're talking about. But also, what gives you energy? Because when you're in your sweet spot, the way that you describe it, it actually gives you energy. It's not that you don't get tired, but you look at, okay, I'll speak at Business Boutique for 3 days straight. Nonstop, 16 to 18 hour days. I'm on a stage running around. At the end of that, I'm like, I am on top of the world. Yeah. Like I feel like I could run a marathon because I've gotten so much energy from doing what I was created to do. Now let's rewind to 22-year-old Christy in the gray cubicle entering data.
Zero energy.
5 minutes and I need a nap. Yeah. I died a little inside. And so when I love these questions as you talk about this, the energy, the euphoric feeling that you have. What about the reality of we all have parts of our job we don't like, even if you're in a job that you love. So if someone is going, okay, was this just a bad day or a hard project, or does this mean I'm not in my sweet spot, I should do something else? Because I know some people might be thinking that.
That's a great question, and there's no real formula here, but I would say if 80% of your day you're doing something in your sweet spot, you're there.
Yeah.
Because I got to go to meetings here.
Oh, you and I both have things that we don't want to do.
We despise meetings.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
I do. I hate meetings. I love conversations.
Right. Yeah.
What takes 30 minutes sometimes I can get done in 3. But that's neither here nor there. That's a separate episode. But there are things. There are times where when I got here at Ramsey Solutions, I wasn't a personality.
Yeah.
I was in my sweet spot, but I wasn't in my dream job.
Right.
Okay, so again, you just kind of keep looking through this. Wait a second. Am I spending the majority of my day, you pick the percentage, doing work that I'm good at?
Right.
Do I spend the majority of my day doing work that I really love?
Yeah.
Do I spend the majority of my day creating results that make me excited?
Right.
Okay.
I love it.
That's it.
I love it.
There's going to be times, there's a great scene in the movie The Great Debaters. It's a wonderful movie. Forrest Whitaker stars as the father. And this kid loves debate. And he's a great student. He's a brilliant kid. Yeah. He's a good kid.
Yeah.
But he gets into the debate team, and they're a small black college, and they're competing with the big boys. And this kid's a rock star.
Yeah.
And so, of course, it's all he wants to do is debate.
Yeah.
Because they're winning, and they're good.
Right.
And they're all together, and they're this team. And so the dad starts to notice that he's spending more time even in non-practice times with everybody, and we're working on it. That's all they do is practice debate. And he's going, what about your studies? And the kid's pushing back a little bit.
Yeah.
He's like, Dad, I'll get it. And he looks at him, he's like, no, you're not going. You won't compete. You won't practice until you get your work done. And the kid gets kind of huffy and kind of storms out, okay, and he looks at him and he says, do what you have to do so you can do what you want to do.
That's good.
There is going to be a part of our day where we do what we have to do. Yeah. But again, back to that formula I just gave you, don't overthink it.
Yeah. Roughly 80-20, just the majority of your day. The majority of your day. Okay, I've got another question. I want to go back.
You said something. No, but you said something beautiful I want to call out.
What?
You said it twice. When you went back to that 22-year-old job in the cinder block, you were like, I was dying a little bit every day. That's not a stark overreaction when you describe it that way. That is a soul-sucking thing.
No, and I was terrible at the job too because I didn't enjoy it and didn't care about the results. Right. I'm like, this is me at my desk. Whereas me on stage at business meeting, I'm like, I'm alive.
So here's the point. The heart will let you know at any point in your day if you're dying a little bit.
That's good.
And so walk around with a notepad.
Yeah.
Do this. Does this lift me?
Yeah.
Or does this hold me back?
Yeah, that's good. That's good. I love that. Okay, I want to go back to the bicycle example, and I know we've got to wrap up, but I have so many questions for you because this is so helpful to people that are in that spot right now going, am I in my sweet spot? What should I be doing next? I want to do something, but I'm not sure what. So let's go back to the bicycle example. And I love what you said where we are in a culture of work on your weaknesses, but you're going to be the best at your job. You're going to be the best at home in your life when you're in your strengths. And I totally agree. I'm with you. How do you help people? And I haven't even thought through this, Ken, so I'm really curious what you think. How do you help people between you're going to be in your strengths and work on your strengths knowing you're not going to be good when you start? When I was a speaker and I started, I sucked.
Right.
I was terrible.
Yeah.
You probably were too. We all were terrible. You were terrible when you first started riding a bike. But as I developed those strengths, they became really strong strengths, just like riding a bike and so on. So how do you understand the difference? You use the baseball example. I'm actually terrible at hand-eye coordination. I cannot make contact with the bat. I know that. I'm not going to work on it, don't want to, not interested. How do you discern, is this a weakness I should avoid, or is this a strength underdeveloped? I'm a beginner. How do you know?
That's a really good question. So we got to make sure that we don't confuse the bike analogy. Everybody learns to ride a bike and you're awful and you're wobbly and you're just going to have to learn how to crash. That's why my dad taught me to ride a bike on grass so that I didn't have as much fear.
I'm going to use that tip. That's good. I like that.
Take the boys on grass and show them if you fall, Conley, you are not going to have no skin.
Right.
You're going to be okay. But so we have to start things, we have to practice, and that's what you're getting at. But again, how do we know? Well, you know you don't have good eye-hand coordination. You figured that out in PE maybe in
right.
the third grade
100%.
or whatever. Okay, so we listen to that. We go, wait. But we also knew that young Christy was really good at connecting with people. We know that young Christy was really good with words. So again, we got to get back to that sweet spot analogy. And if you're having a hard time discerning, go to people who will tell you the truth in your life, who know you really well. And they'll go, you know what? You're not the most athletic kid. Probably not your thing.
Yeah.
But you're really gifted in this area, verbal skills. And then you go, okay, so we start to lean that way. Now, to your question, we're still not going to be great at speaking if we try to speak the first time and just do it. The worst is the first, is what I tell myself. The very first Ken Coleman show, I would never want anybody to hear it. I hope they buried it in the ash heap of history. Same thing with the first talk. I wouldn't want anybody to hear that. And in fact, it's still true to this day. When you and I develop new content, and we do, we're good at it because we're good at communicating now.
But it's rough at first.
The first time we put it out there, it's not something I'm proud of.
Right.
I've got to embrace this thing that practice is the key to proficiency.
Yeah.
So what you do is you go, wait a second, I got to know what my core talents are, and I can take those talents. Let's take it like a lump of clay.
Yeah.
I've actually watched a potter do this.
Okay.
It's really killer. They take this lump of clay off of a table, and he sits in front of the stand, and he puts it on the wheel. And with the water and his pressure of his hands, with the wheel spinning, the inertia, he begins to shape that lump of clay into this beautiful coffee mug or a plate. And it becomes this inanimate object, catch this, to this unbelievably useful tool.
Yeah.
That's the journey.
Yeah.
But we've got to work with the right clay. Like, we got to have the clay.
Right.
If there's no clay, there's no instrument. So what we do is we say, all right, this is what I'm good at, and I can be great at this. So here's a simple analogy to answer the question. If I'm a 1, if 1 is awful, no one wants to pay me, nobody even wants to see me do this, I'm so bad, and 10's amazing, we got to say, I'm going to focus on the 6, 7, 8s, 9s, and 10s. Because if I work my fanny off, I can turn a 6 into an 8.
Yeah.
I can turn a 7 into a 9. I can turn an 8 into a 10. That's what people pay for. That's what we enjoy. And so then I'm no longer banging my head against the wall in my work. I'm mitigating everything from a 5 below. I'm telling everybody I'm not very good at this.
Right.
I'll ask for help if I'm doing this. I won't apply for a job that has this in the job description.
Right. That's the majority of what you do. Well, and so much of what you're saying, and that's why I love how you talk about, it's not just the piece of your gifts. Like, are you a talented singer? Are you a talented organizer? Whatever the thing is, it's not just your gifts. It's also your desire and what you enjoy. Because if you don't enjoy it, you're not going to want to practice those gifts regardless. You and I are really good friends with Rachel Cruz, who's also a Ramsey personality. A couple years ago, I don't know if you remember this, Kim, but she came to the office and she made this declaration to me. She's like, Christy, I've got a plan. I am going to run every day for 100 days.
Yes,
I said, you hate to run. I said, but it's only 20 minutes a day for 100 days. I go, no, but you hate to run. And so it's just funny. And of course, she did not do the 100 days, and we still laugh about it to this day. But if you don't like doing something, even if she was an outstanding runner, she's not going to run every day. And same for me, entering data into a spreadsheet. Even if I was good at it but didn't enjoy it, I'm not going to want to do it to get better. And so I think that's so key to your formula of how you walk people through this. Because yes, I was an okay speaker when I started, but I enjoyed it so much. I wanted to do the practice to get better, and then I did.
That's so beautiful you share that. So let's just break that down. I have no motivation to run. But you have no motive. Motivation, the root word is motive. What's your motive? What's your why?
Right.
Let's just break it down.
Right.
If your why is, well, I'm just going to do it. No, you will absolutely.
I love to run.
You love it.
I do it just because it's fun for no reason.
Yes, you love to run. And that's great. And so what we've got to understand is that's what's behind all of this. It's like, do I love the work itself, and am I fired up over the result of it? If I'm not, then I'm never going to have that real, true sense of meaning in my work. And I think when you get that, it frees you up to say, oh, this is why because here's what you said. It's not enough to be good at it. Because you can do something in your career that you're really good at, and you will be successful. But I know a lot of 6-figure, 7-figure earners who are into addiction. They're
still miserable.
They're miserable because they're only doing something they're good at.
Right.
They actually don't love the work. Listen, Wall Street's full of those folks.
Yeah.
It's real. Go look it up.
Right.
Now let's look at the second part of that. I can get in my work, and I can be good at it, and I can really enjoy it. And you'll have some satisfaction. You will be. You'll have a good work life. You'll be satisfied. But when you put that third piece in there, when you use what you do best to do work that you love that produces results there's a personal connection to the results.
You care about.
That's significance.
Yeah. That's good.
I'm not teaching success and I'm not teaching satisfaction.
Yeah.
I'm trying to point people to significance. Not to say that you become significant when
we know. Yeah.
What we're saying is you experience.
You feel that
significance.
Yeah.
So that's what this is about.
Yeah.
Because then you realize, wait a second, it's not about me.
Right.
And I'm making plenty of money, by the way.
Right.
The money follows.
Right.
That's the caboose.
Yeah.
Success and satisfaction and dollar signs, those S's, that comes with it.
Yeah.
But when I'm in my sweet spot and I'm pursuing missional work, that's when we're alive. And by the way, that's when people look at you and they go, you were born for this. They say that on their own.
Yeah.
They don't know what the sweet spot is.
Yeah.
They may not even have a belief in God at all, but they'll say that.
Yeah.
And it's because we see that. We go, it looks so good and so efficient and so effortless, which we know it isn't.
Right.
So that's where all this comes together. And by the way, it is possible, whether you're 35, 45, or 55. And remember, it's not about power and fame and influence. It's about significance.
I love it. It's so good, Ken. This is so practical, but it's also so inspirational for someone listening right now and they're going, I'm in a job that I hate, or I've had this like nagging feeling I should do something new, but I'm not sure what. Like this is going to be the catalyst that's going to send people out on figuring out what that is for them. Okay, you have a book that helps them though.
Yeah.
Know how to start to take those steps.
So we wrote this book. So we kind of got ahead of ourselves. We wrote this book for people who know what they want to do, but they're not sure how to get there.
Okay.
Or they know what they want to do, they know how to get there, but they're scared to step out.
Okay.
This proximity principle teaches you the proven path to work that you love. It'll tell you how to get there. Little cheat. It's about people and places.
I love it.
And it's chock full of goodness. 5 people and 5 places in the book that if you get around those people and get in those places, opportunity knocks on your door.
Yeah.
That's how that works.
It's so simple and practical and something you can actually start doing.
It's
so good.
Right now.
Okay, let people know where they can get your book and follow you and continue to listen to the show and learn everything you're doing.
KenColeman.com is the website. We've got a special deal. You can get all 3 formats, the hard copy, ebook, and audio book for one price. That's unbelievable. Or wherever books are sold. And then the Ken Coleman Show is on YouTube. We're live every day at noon Eastern time.
Awesome.
And then we're right on the radio. So if you want to call in, the phone number's at KenColeman.com for 2 hours, Monday through Friday. You can call me and we can dive right in right there for a 2-hour period from 12 to 2 Eastern Standard Time, wherever you listen to podcasts as well. And then now 60 plus radio stations around the country.
That's amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's huge. That's amazing.
Fun.
Okay, you got to listen to the show and get your question answered. Ken, thanks so much. This is so fun. Thanks for being here.
This is fun. I
love
this. I need a living room, not a studio.
You do. We're gonna work that out next.